Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see today, I'm sitting somewhere a little bit different, and that's because I'm sitting at my desk, because today what we're going to be looking at is my trophy list and doing a bit of a trophy list review. So this is a video idea I have kind of cheekily stolen from a good friend of mine, BombChop, and if you're into trophy list reviews or platinum style videos, go and check him out. He has fantastic content. I love watching him. It's one of the highlights of my week when he uploads a video. So go and check him out. And what we'll do is quickly jump into this, because as you can see, I have 168 platinums. And if I spend too long on each game, we're going to be here for hours. If we have a quick look, as you can see, I've just crossed the threshold for 10,000 trophies altogether, which is, a nice milestone to hit. And in that is 168 platinums, with a completion rate of 59.95%, so basically 60%. So the way I wanted to do this was by doing it in time order, and we'll start right back at the beginning, way back in 2016. The first platinum I got was for Steins Gate, which is a visual novel based on the anime. It's a visual novel, it's one of them kind of things where even for me, I have to be in a certain mood to play them. And it's exactly the same for the next game, Root Letter, although that, for me, really surprised me. The story was interesting, the characters were interesting. Haven't played the second game yet, but it's something that I do want to get around to at some point. Gravity Rush Remastered, the first PlayStation 4 Platinum, and that's one that I'll go into a bit more detail in on my PS4 Hidden Gems video. So if you haven't seen that yet, go and check it out. Next one is Horizon Zero Dawn. What can I say about this that hasn't been said before? Fantastic game, very unique with like the robotic dinosaurs and animals, and the twists in the story and the places that it goes are just really interesting, and I had a great time with this game. Next one, we jump back to the Vita, and this is Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Love rhythm games, love Persona. The music in Persona is fantastic, so put all that together and you get a fantastic rhythm game. Infamous Second Son, another game that there's not a lot I can say that hasn't been said already. Absolutely fantastic game, really fun with all the abilities and stuff, and it's a series I do hope they go back to eventually. So No Man's Sky is a game that launched and it was a bit of a disaster for a lot of people, but for me it's one of the reasons I picked up a PS4, because I love these style of games. I love the game and I've been back to it since, played it online with some friends, and it's just a really fun game to go through. Another classic game in Undertale. Obviously it took the world by storm when it released. I think I remember reading or seeing something about MatPat even giving the Pope a copy of the game. As you can see, it took me less than 6 hours to platinum, and that's because unfortunately you don't even need to complete the game to get it. Should probably mention some of the percentages. So the lowest one so far has been No Man's Sky at 6.56%. None of the others are really anything to scream about. Nier Automata is probably my favourite game on the PS4, probably between that and God of War, which we'll see coming up soon, but just an absolutely amazing game. The music by Keiichi Okabe is just absolutely stunning, to the point where I even had to get the vinyl soundtrack for it. Uncharted Lost Legacy, strangely the only Uncharted game that I've platinumed. I've played them all, just haven't got around to platinuming them yet, but they are on the backlog and something I want to go back to and do. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, bit of like a trippy game, delves into like mental health and all that kind of stuff, but easy enough to go through in platinum. As you can see, it took me 6.5 hours. As long as you keep an eye on the collectibles and make sure you pick them up when you need to, you won't have an issue with platinum in this. Next two games are in the Danganronpa series, and that's Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reload, and then Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. So 1 and 2 Reload are the core games, obviously. The gameplay for these is visual novel style, with kind of like murder mystery elements in there. Really good, characters are interesting. The twists and the turns that these games take are just second to none, in my opinion. Really fantastic games. And then Ultra Despair Girls is like a third-person shooter. Takes place in the same universe, but in a different kind of place. You see some returning characters at points in the game, but pretty much a separate story. But really fun to go through. So Danganronpa is a 9.92% and Ultra Despair Girls is 20%, because this was quite easy to do. Back to the Vita, and This is for Steins Gate Zero, so this I think was a prequel to Steins Gate. Didn't have as much fun with this one as I did with the original. Lost Sphere, this is a game that was a nice little surprise for me and probably could be put on a hidden gems list. Nice little like RPG, but you get to use mechs in this game, and the way that they incorporate that into the combat is just really unique. This is sitting at 25%, so you know it's not too hard to go through. But check out Lost Sphere if you haven't heard of it before. If you're into like old school RPGs and stuff, I think you'll really enjoy it. Ni no Kuni 2, obviously following Ni no Kuni 1 and the success that was with the help of Studio Ghibli, they brought out a second one. Takes place in a different era, in the same kind of realm, but really fun game to go through. As you can see, this is one where they released DLC after the fact, and I just never went back and played it. God of War remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. What a phenomenal game. Obviously this one's sitting at 26.79%. Next two games are very similar to the Danganronpa games, and they are the Zero Escape series. So in the Nonary games, you have the first two games, which is 999 and Virtue's Last Reward. They're mostly visual novels. The gameplay elements of this are more like escape room kind of things. You have puzzles to solve to escape in time before your character dies. It was just really fantastic. And the same goes for Zero Time Dilemma, which is the third game in the series. And again, just a really fantastic game to go through. Some of the puzzles are quite challenging, and you know that's what makes these games so fun. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle could have been a fantastic game with characters from Ruby, Persona, BlazBlue, and I think it's Under Night in Birth. Unfortunately, in the West at least, it just kind of fell flat a little bit. Me and a friend tried playing online quite a bit, and we just used to pair with each other all the time. Kingdom Hearts 1, probably my favourite game of all time. Absolutely fantastic game, and it's like a 10% platinum rate, and I can see why, because you do have to grind a lot of materials and stuff. Blue Reflection, another kind of classic style JRPG, turn-based. I do talk about it a bit more in my Hidden Gems video as well. Another game in the Persona Dancing series, and that is Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. Again, Persona has fantastic music, and Persona 5 especially, and then getting to play a rhythm game with that music, just absolutely loved it. You know, this one's at 42%, and I can see why it wasn't too hard to go through. It was a lot easier than the Persona 4 one. Next one is Demon Gaze 2, which is like a dungeon crawler style game. I remember having a decent time with it. Not a massive fan of dungeon crawlers, and it's mainly just because, you know, they're a lot more slower paced than a lot of games. I'm trying to get through Mary Scouts at the moment, and it's taken me a while. Next one is Owlboy, which was just a delight to play from start to finish. Like an indie game, but if I remember, this game took like 10 years for them to make. It's your typical platformer. You get new abilities as you go through the game, which allow you to access new areas. The only thing to keep track of is the collectibles as you go through. Now back to the Kingdom Hearts series. Again, I spaced it out a little bit, and that's why it took nearly 2 years to do. But this is a 13.56% trophy. And this is the Kingdom Hearts game that most regard as the best. But for me, the nostalgia will always be with Kingdom Hearts 1. God Eater 3, a game I picked up on a recommendation from a friend. And, you know, it's a Monster Hunter style game where you go out on hunts and you kill monsters, go back, build armor and weapons with their parts, and then go back out and hunt bigger and better things. So Punchline is the next one, and it's a bit more of a raunchy style game, as you can probably tell from the picture. One I had fun with, you know, it has a lot of comedy and stuff in it. But yeah, if you don't want people to question your sanity and your morals, probably best to steer clear of this one. Teslagrad is forever the game I picked up for 99p when I used to work at Game, but despite paying that price for it, I had such a great time with it. Again, typical platformer, just a really fun little game. Mortal Kombat 11, now I am arguably a Mortal Kombat fan when it comes to fighters. It's my favourite of the big three. When 11 come out, I absolutely love the story. Unfortunately, I haven't played 1 yet, and I've heard it's a bit of like a downturn for the series. This one is sitting at 7.23%, which is quite nice. I know a lot of people regard this as being quite grindy. Another one is Days Gone. Absolutely fantastic game. I know it didn't get a lot of love when it first came out, but it seems to be getting more nowadays. and we've got a remaster coming. The next one, and you'll see a couple coming up, is the Borderlands series. I think all three of these ones, Borderlands, Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel, I all played with one of my mates. These are the sort of games that are just chaotic fun when you're playing through them with friends, and they're a good laugh. Still really fun to play single player, especially Borderlands 1 and 2. The pre-sequel was a bit of a slog in my opinion compared to the others, but still a fun experience with friends. Borderlands 2 sitting at 6.97% and the pre-sequel is sitting at 3.26%. One that I do remember having a bit of a grind with, Dragon Quest XI. Fantastic game, but I swear this game should have ended like at 3 separate stages, and it just constantly feels like you get to the ending, then something happens, and then the ending seems miles away. But fantastic game, bit of a grind to get the trophy with materials and stuff. Marvel Spider-Man, the game that most Platinum Hunters will have because it's not hard to get at all. 41.49%, which for a AAA title is quite high. AI Somnium Files, again another game I'll go more detail into in my Hidden Gems video, so again check that out. But really fantastic murder mystery. You know, you play as a detective in a futuristic world where you can enter criminals' minds to kind of find the truth. The only Call of Duty I have platinumed, and I don't really play them anymore, so it probably will stay as the only Call of Duty I've platinumed, and that is the Modern Warfare reboot. Really good game. I did like where they were going with the story. I just haven't played the others because of how they've changed the way that the trophies work with them games. This is sitting at 6.5%, but Call of Duties are always low because most people buy them to play in the multiplayer and that's it. Control was a game that kind of took everybody by surprise. Looking forward to the second one. The abilities you get in the game and the fact it's, you know, SCP related is just really great, and the whole style and kind of premise of the game is just really unique. It is sitting at 24%. I haven't played AWE, so maybe that is something I will go back to before the second game releases. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a Dark Souls style Star Wars game, which of course, if you know me, is something I am going to love. Love Dark Souls, love Star Wars. I know a lot of people didn't like the way you had to backtrack through the game, but I didn't find it that bad. Final Fantasy VII, this is actually the first time I'd played this game, and it was in the run-up to the remake. I had a fantastic time with it, but Final Fantasy IX will always be my favourite Final Fantasy, and I hate the fact that I cannot get the platinum on that game because of the goddamn skipping rope. Kingdom Hearts 3, as I mentioned earlier, big Kingdom Hearts fan, so when the new one came out, I absolutely blasted it and got through it in a week and a day. Sitting at 16%. Deathmark, yet another game that I mentioned on my Hidden Gems video, and you know, if you're into your Japanese style of horror, Junji Ito style of things, go and check it out. It scared me quite a few times as I was going through it. Now, as I mentioned, I played Final Fantasy VII in the run up to this, but going through Final Fantasy VII Remake was unreal, and I can only imagine what it felt like for the people who had waited 20 years for this and to see it in its full HD glory. The only issue with this is you essentially have to do 2 playthroughs, and you have to replay the same section quite a few times to make certain decisions to get the girls to wear certain dresses, and that is sitting at only 12%. Destiny 2, probably the game I've put the most amount of time into. Do love Destiny, and I love the lore of Destiny. I'll probably put in close to or over 1,000 hours between Destiny 1 and 2, but I just think I'm at a point now where I'm done with it. Plague Tale Innocence, this was a game that caught me by surprise. Hadn't heard of it, saw it in a game when they used to sell pre-owned and picked it up and really enjoyed it. The puzzle elements in the game that require you to get around the rats and stuff are really unique, and the story is actually quite good as well. Unfortunately, the next game I ruined for myself because, like an idiot at the time, I decided to follow a guide and get the platinum in 22 minutes and 58 seconds. I've heard it's a cool story to do with like werewolves and stuff. Ghost of Tsushima, absolutely fantastic game. As you can see, I love Japanese things, and a game based in Edo period Japan. Just fantastic. The whole stylized way of like traveling around and the wind kind of showing you the direction and stuff is just fantastic. Looking forward to Ghost of Yote. Haven't played Iki Island, which is the DLC for this, but I did play the multiplayer mode and that was really fun as well. Nextmon Extinction, it's like a Pokemon clone. I mean, it was fun for what it was, and it was nice to get a platinum for a Pokemon style game. Dust Diver is a game I don't really remember a lot of, other than the combat. Cannot remember what happened in the story for the life of me. But I obviously had a good enough time to go through and platinum it. Only took 5 days and 4 hours. So my first PS5 platinum, and I think most people's first PS5 platinum, is Astro's Playroom, and what an amazing experience this was. You know, all of the nostalgia that this gave me was just fantastic. Obviously it's sitting at just under 50%, and that's understandable. Second PS5 platinum is the first free monthly game that we got, which was Bugsnax, and you know, it was unique, stylized, and just something that I really enjoyed going through and trying to get all of the different bugs. So back onto the Borderlands series with Borderlands 3. Unfortunately, the worst title in the series so far. We'll see what 4 has to say, but I enjoyed it because I went through again with friends. The characters in it are just really cringy and annoying. Rocket League, everyone knows what Rocket League is, but it is sitting at 17.5%. I'm sure it got a lot harder to get this platinum since they made it free to play, because you have to get so many items, and it's a lot harder to get items now, as that's where they get their main source of income from. Again, I've got Destiny 2, and I got it in a second because it is an auto pop. When they released the PS5 version, of course, I downloaded it, and it just gave me all of the trophies straight away. Cyberpunk 2077, as you can see, this is the PS4 version. This is another game I've platinum twice because I've done the PS5 version, but at the time, the only version they released was the PS4 one. But it was played on a PS5, and I was quite lucky. I didn't have a lot of issues with it. I know it was played with bugs and performance issues. I only had 1 or 2 hard crashes that got me to lose progress. This is in at 9.59%, but if you haven't played this since launch, honestly, go and check it out. It's such a different game now, especially with Phantom Liberty. Another free monthly game that they give out early into the PS5 lifecycle is Maneater, and this was just one of them turn your brain off, fun to play kind of. You know, you're a shark, you're going around eating things and destroying things. Just really fun, sitting at 39%. Atelier Ryza, and as you can see up here, Atelier Ryza 2. Fantastic games. I do own the third one, haven't got round to it yet, but a lot of crafting and material gathering and stuff like that in these, but I don't remember having too much issue with them. Did really enjoy them though. Death End Request 1 and 2. So as you can see, what I did here was did Atelier Ryza, then Death End Request 1, then Atelier Ryza 2, Death End Request 2. And I did that to break these up a little bit. So Death End Request 1 and 2, I do talk about a bit more in my Hidden Gems video again. So if you want more information on them and to see some of the gameplay, go and check out that video. Another rhythm game, and this time it's a rhythm game for the Kingdom Hearts series. So of course, I was going to love this because I love Kingdom Hearts and I love rhythm games. Took me quite a while to get, but that's because a lot of the songs are quite hard. But after a bit of practice, I eventually got them. This one is sitting at 18%. Another PlayStation 5 Platinum, and that is for Returnal. Absolutely amazing game. As you can see, it took me all of 6 days and 9 hours to get. I remember watching Maximilian Dude playing this, and I loved it. Ordered it that day. It's just fantastic. I haven't played the DLC that they released, as you can see, but this is sitting at a 12% platinum rate. So it was around this time that I got laid off from a job, and I did Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 back to back, and it was a fantastic experience doing it, going through it in, you know, just over a week. It was great, and the story for Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 is amazing. Same can probably not be said for Andromeda. I tried to play it straight after these, and I think I was just burnt out on the series at that point. Again, another auto pop, and that is for Final Fantasy VII Remake, because they released Intergrade and it was only playable on the PS5. So if you wanted to play the DLC, you had to install the PS5 version. And then it auto popped the platinum. Whether you like auto pops or not, sometimes they're unavoidable. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, absolutely amazing PS5 game. It was the first game, I guess Returnal as well, but that took full advantage of the DualSense. Still one of the best games for the way that they use the vibrations in the DualSense. But this one is 54.95%, and I can see why. Next one is House Flipper. So I also like games like this, you know, House Flipper, Power Wash Simulator, them style of games. I know my friend BombChop says you have to be a bit of a psychopath to like these games. And maybe I am a bit of a psychopath, I don't know. But I just love them. Putting on a podcast in the background or some music and just relaxing and play these. There's something about it for me. Next one, absolute classic game, and one that I had to have on my list at some point, and that is for the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. I haven't done the DLCs. I think when I got the Platinum, I was just a bit burnt out and needed a break, and haven't been back to it since. But that's sitting at a respectable 13.85%. So unfortunately, the next games are my descent into madness, where I get sucked into the black hole that is easy Platinums. So I started uploading my Platinums to Instagram as like a digital trophy cabinet, and the people in the community who I followed started uploading pictures of their trophies, and a lot of them had these easy Platinums, and I just got lost in the source and started thinking like, oh, these are really easy ways to beef up my Platinum amount. So I did about 13 or 14, depends how you see one of them. It's just a shame that these will forever be staying on my Platinum list, but I've kept them there, and I didn't start a new account because it's just a reminder to me not to do this again. I mean, in here you've got stuff like Maquette, which is a really cool puzzle game, and Outer Wilds as well. You know, this is a really unique game. I haven't played the DLC. Just a game that took me a while to get into, but once I started to understand how things were working and stuff like that, just phenomenal. And that is only a 10.63% game. Burly Men at Sea, I probably wouldn't count. I mean, it is sitting at over 50%. It's a really fun game, and the story of it is actually quite interesting if you go through it. And then I Am the Hero is probably one I also wouldn't count as a trash game. It does only take 2 hours, but there is a bit of challenge there. I had a fun time with it, a bit of like a beat 'em up platformer style game. Suicide Guy, another puzzle game. I guess this could also be seen as a bit of a trash game, but again, you're playing as a guy who the whole puzzle of the game is trying to kill yourself in the most creative ways. Yeah, I had fun with it. So in my eyes, I don't count it as trash, but I can understand if people do. So now we return to normality, and we kick that off with Jurassic World Evolution, which is a park builder set in the Jurassic World series. And again, these are two things that I love: park builders and dinosaurs, or Jurassic World. Just really fantastic game. There's a ton of DLC that has been released for it, which has left me down at 62%. Another game that I think is underrated and has got more love since release, that is Guardians of the Galaxy. Whilst it wasn't the Guardians of the Galaxy that people know and love from the MCU, they are really good takes on the characters, and it was just a really good, fun game to go through and play. Now, showing my love for the Dark Souls series, I got the Dark Souls Remastered and Demon Souls Platinums, and I guess this is my way of punishing myself for going through and doing all of them trash games. I love the Dark Souls games, I love FromSoft games, and these are two Platinums that I've got. Do want to get 2 and 3 at some point, but they are very grindy. I think I'm sitting at like 90% for 2. Again, another auto pop, this time in 0 seconds, and that is No Man's Sky. Again, they released a PS5 version, so I installed it to play it with a mate, and it just auto popped. Jurassic World Evolution 2, again, more of the same of the first one, but bigger and better, and I had a great time with this. This is seen as quite challenging and is one of my rarest Platinums at 2.23%. I don't remember having that much of a challenge with it. Beat Souls, like an indie rhythm game. The music in it was good from what I remember, and it was just really fun to go through. Took all of 4 hours to complete. So some might see it as a bit of a trash game, but I had fun with it, and it is a rhythm game. It does take a bit of skill. So I guess it depends on how good you are at these kind of games. Elden Ring, so this was a game when it launched. I dropped everything and played this solid for, as you can see, 2 weeks, just over. Now sitting at 38%. Final Fantasy 15, this took me 4 years and 4 months to get, and forgot how rough the end of the game was. Obviously they fixed that a couple years on with the DLC and stuff, which I haven't done, which is why I'm at 49%. Another game that's a bit on the raunchy side is Pantsu Hunter Back to the 90s. I mean, it's in the title, isn't it? But it took all of 10 hours to do, and it's at 60%. Horizon Forbidden West, I had a much harder time getting into this than I did with the original one. and I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if it's just because it was more of the same, or I just wasn't feeling this style of game at the time. But eventually, when I did get into it, I loved it again, and the story was great. It just went a bit more out of this world, so to say. If you know, you know. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, what a great game this could have been, and what a terrible game it ended up being. Only thing that was a saving grace for me with this was, again, I played it with friends. Probably my least favourite in the Borderlands series, sitting at 17%. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is another game I feature in my Hidden Gems video. Absolutely love this game. A lot of reading, visual novel style stuff, but the strategic warfare kind of gameplay was really fun, and it's made by Vanillaware, which, if you know, they do stuff like Odin Sphere, which are always really nice games to look at and are really fun. Planet Coaster, again, park builder. Surprised this is as low as it is, but I think it's because it was a free monthly game. Took me 2 weeks and 1 day to do it. I think I had time off around this time for some reason. I say for some reason, it's because my son was born not long before. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, again, during my paternity leave. I had a bit of an extended leave for personal reasons. The Skywalker Saga was fantastic, but my god was it grindy. Even with having all that time off, it still took nearly 2 months to do. Would I have done it had I not had that amount of leave off work? Probably not, but I'm glad it's one that I've got on the list. Paradise Killer, if you liked Danganronpa, you will enjoy this. They essentially try and copy the style of it, but it's more open worldish. Really enjoyable. The music is great in it, the characters are great in it, and I just had a really fun time. Doki Doki Literature Club Plus, if you know, you know. All hail Monica and all that. Fun game, has a very interesting twist in it. It's a better experience on PC because of the way it accesses your system. It does a similar kind of thing on PlayStation, but it's not as effectively done. If you haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, go in blind, give it a playthrough, see the twist for yourself. Now, this is my rarest platinum at 1.95% of people having it. I had to do something absolutely ridiculous to get this, and that was leave my PlayStation on for like 4 or 5 days whilst I went on holiday, because one of the trophies requires you to see so many nights. I think it's like a fortnight or something in the game, but the longer you've let your world go on, the longer these days take, and it pretty much took the entire 4 or 5 days I was on holiday for it to pop. Blue Reflection Second Light, more of the same with the first game. Talk about it more in my Hidden Gems video as well. Same with the next one, AI the Somnium Files, more of the same, different characters. Very good humour. If you want a laugh, I recommend playing the AI games. But if you want to know more about it, check out my Hidden Gems video. Court of the Lamb, this was something that I kind of needed to play at the time because it was very different than the things I'd been playing recently, and it was just like a breath of fresh air. 18.48%. I think you have to kill some of the bosses without getting hit. Another game I only got through because I played it with friends is Back 4 Blood, sitting at 4.34% now. Could have been an amazing Left 4 Dead successor. Unfortunately, didn't quite get there, and the whole card system kind of held the game back from being as good as it could have. Some of the DLCs were interesting, and the story was okay, but doesn't hold a candle compared to the Left 4 Dead games. Another game that doesn't hold a candle compared to the originals is Saints Row, the reboot. What a travesty this was, and I can't believe I went through and platinumed it. I did have fun to some degree because it's an open world sandbox. You know, there's so many things you can do in the games which are fun, but the story, the characters, it was just a complete massacre of what the original games were. This is sitting at 11.14%. Next game is one that I actually had a lot of fun with, and even though it is kind of based on ghosts and demons from Japan, it wasn't overly scary, and the fact that you could fight the ghosts kind of helped in that situation. But that is Ghostwire Tokyo. Very unique game. You kind of do like ninjutsu signs to kill the ghosts. Should take about 40 hours. 21%. Stray, the best cat game of all time. Cat in a futuristic world with robots, and you're kind of exploring your way through the game. Only challenging thing about it is one of the trophies is a bit buggy, where you've got to escape without getting jumped on by these bugs. Took me a few attempts, but I eventually got it. It says it should take 8 hours. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Bit of a unique twist on a Final Fantasy game, and it's made by the same people who did Neo, which is Ninja Theory. Took me a bit of time to get into this game, but eventually it clicked, and then it was plain sailing from there for me. But I had fun with it. Takes 40 hours. It's not too hard. It's not as hard as the Dark Souls games. Spider-Man Miles Morales. This was a game I actually bought when I got my PS5, but it took me until the end of 2022 to play it. But fantastic game. Continuation of the story from Spider-Man, but you play as Miles and kind of explore his story leading up to Spider-Man 2, where it's, a joint story between the two of them. God of War Ragnarok, as I said with the original game, they are absolutely phenomenal. The story in them is great. The graphics, the music, the characters, just everything all together created such a masterpiece of an experience. And, they'll forever be probably my favourite Sony IP. 2 Point Campus, another one that is like a park builder, follows on from 2 Point Hospital, which I do get later down the line, even though it came out before. But this one was a lot easier to get the platinum for. Obviously, DLC is released, I haven't touched, but it takes all of 30 hours, which is nothing really. But again, a game I love because I love park builders, and in this one, you build in universities. Hogwarts Legacy, this gets memed on a lot with Revelio, because the last couple trophies will have you just running around doing that wherever you can to try and find the last collectibles. Fantastic game. I'm excited to see where they take this series next. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, again more of the same with the first one, but bigger and better. A lot more fast travel options, a lot more interesting fights to have, and just a really fantastic game. Some of the twists and some of the moments in the game are so hype if you're a Star Wars fan that I just recommend checking it out. Power Wash Simulator. This game has now had, at one point this was 100%, but it has now released so many DLCs that it has taken me all the way down to 47%. At some point I should probably change that and go back and play some of the DLC, because I know it's some like franchises like SpongeBob SquarePants and Warhammer and stuff. So it'd be interesting to go through and play some of those. But yeah, 12%. Again, my friend BombChop said you'd have to be a bit of a lunatic to sit there and platinum this. Unpacking, a really cute game where it tells the story of a woman who goes through her life, and it tells you this by her moving to different places and unpacking. And there's little like storytelling things they do with items that you're unpacking to kind of tell you how this woman's life is going. Really easy game to platinum. It's sitting at 66%. Stranded Deep is a game I was looking forward to playing. Loaded up the game, joined someone's game, and every trophy auto popped for me. I looked into it, and apparently it was a bug where if you joined someone who had the platinum, it would give you the platinum for some reason. So I have that. I haven't even had a chance to play the game because I uninstalled it in frustration. Next one is Final Fantasy 16, and compared to 15, this is like night and day. It's such a fantastic game. Very different style to 15. The medieval setting was a unique one for the Final Fantasy series, and one that I really enjoyed. Clive, I thought, was a great character. The voice actor did an amazing job. Music is great as always with Final Fantasy, and I just had a great time with this. Only problem being you do have to play it twice, because I don't think you unlock the hardest difficulty until you've played the game once, and one of the trophies is to play the game on the hardest difficulty. But I did that back to back because I enjoyed the game that much, and did it in just over 2 months. Theatre Rhythm, Final Bar Line, another rhythm game, but this time with the Final Fantasy series. Took me 2 weeks to go through and do, and I don't remember having too much trouble with it. Spirit Hunter NG, this is the second game following Deathmark. Obviously at this point they call it the Spirit Hunter series, but with the first game it was just Deathmark. This follows a different character in a different city, but it does reference things that happened in the first game. A lot of people see this as the scarier one, but I think because I knew what to expect going into it, it didn't hit me as hard as the first game did. But still great. Talk about a bit more in my hidden gems list again. Next games, I back to back did all of the Spyro games, Spyro 1, 2 and 3, and they didn't take long at all to do. 7 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours, and the percentages are quite high because of that. But it's Spyro, it's classic. If you've ever played them on a PS1, you'll really enjoy going back and playing them again on the PS4. Next one is Persona 5 Strikers, and this took me 2 years and 7 months to get because of one trophy. which was to max out your, is it affection or affinity with the characters, and the amount of grinding that took, killing the same enemy over and over and over again on the hardest difficulty, was just ridiculous. I was glad to finally get this and stop that one trophy from holding me back. Following that, I then went on to do Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight. This is actually a Persona game I haven't played. I do have Reload and I do want to play it at some point soon. So going through this, I wasn't really aware of the music. It was still great, it's just it wasn't something that I'd experienced before, so it didn't hit me as well as Persona 5 and Persona 4 Dancing did. Still great, but it only takes about 9 hours to go through. Donut County, some people would class as a bit more of a trash game, but I enjoyed it. It's a game where you play as a black hole, essentially trying to eat up as much as you can. I did it all in one lazy Sunday afternoon, whilst sitting and watching TV with my missus and my son, and I just did it through PlayStation Remote Play on my phone and had a great time with it. Monster Hunter World. Now this was a gargantuan task, as you can see from the 300 hours recommended time. Took me 5 years and 9 months to do it because I had to do it in segments. The crown hunting was just absolutely ridiculous in this game. It's at 4.62% and I can understand why. Obviously it sold really well, and then just having to grind for the crowns was just crazy. They made it easier with some of the investigations they added later down the line, but you still had to grind for some of the others. Assassin's Creed 2, probably between this and Black Flag, my favourite Assassin's Creed games. This one's quite common to get because the only hard thing to do really is the feathers, and if you follow a guide they're really easy to get. Looking at 33%, takes about 20 hours. Bloodborne, 6 years and 11 months. The reason it was like that is because of the Chalice dungeons. When I completed the game, I had an absolutely amazing time with it, and then I just didn't understand the Chalice dungeons at all. It was something completely different from anything in any of the other Dark Souls games, but I'll come back to it with the intent of completing it, and actually had a really good time going through the Chalice dungeons. I just didn't understand them at the time. So as I mentioned earlier, I come back and I platinum Cyberpunk 2077 again, and I did this right at the end of 2023, but I got the platinum at the start of 2024 because they released the final update. I think they actually updated it again after that, but it was after Phantom Liberty come out as well, so it was seen as a complete game. And I went through it and it was such a different experience. And Phantom Liberty as a DLC is one of my favourite DLCs of all time. Idris Elba does a fantastic job, and just the storyline in that DLC is unreal. Check it out if you haven't. Honestly recommend going back to this game if you haven't played it since the original launch. But 16.91% for the base game and then 5.92% for the DLC. Lies of P. As a Dark Souls fan, this is a game that feels like it was made by FromSoft. That's how closely they copied the formula of Dark Souls, but in a good way. It tells a story of Pinocchio in a bit of like a fairy tale world, and you see characters from other fairy tales as well. And just a very unique take on the Pinocchio story, and one that I really enjoyed from start to finish. Final boss is a bit challenging, but with a bit of practice and perseverance, you can get through it no issue. If I can do it, I think anyone can. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. First time I'd ever played this, but getting a chance to play it before the release of Rebirth was great to understand Zack's story a bit better. A bit grindy with the missions and the side missions and stuff. I enjoyed it that much that it didn't seem like that much of a chore to me at the time. Is it Gris or Gris? It's an indie game that just has a very unique style, kind of delves into mental health and stuff. Does a really good job at doing that and portraying different mental health states. Fantastic little game to check out, takes all of 5 hours to do. Helldivers 2, just a ridiculously fun game to play with friends. The amount of times we'd blow each other up and just be in giggle fits because of it. Wasn't too hard to get the platinum. Once you get used to the mechanics and stuff, it's quite easy to get. Minecraft, a game with a ridiculous amount of trophies, 127. Says it took 4 years and 6 months, but that's because it's a game I'd go back to every now and then and carry on playing and chip away at the trophies. 12.69% for the base game, 0.68% for the DLC. Says it should take 35 hours. The Gardens Between, I mean, you can probably see this as a bit of a trash title, but it was a puzzle game with a very unique premise. which is you control time. If you move forward, time moves forward, and if you move backwards, time moves backwards, and you can do different things to solve the puzzles using that mechanic. Very interesting. Wasn't too hard to solve the puzzles. Prototype is a game I absolutely loved when I played it on the Xbox 360 back in the day. I bought the Biohazard bundle and got the platinum for it. Sits at 4.78%, which I'm surprised is that low. But it is an 8 out of 10 difficulty because of the hardest difficulty of the game is actually really challenging. Took me well over, I want to say, 20 attempts to do the final boss, and I still think it holds up as a great, open world sandbox game. From one open world sandbox to another, and that is Spider-Man 2, obviously continuing the story from the first game and Miles Morales. Started out great. I just think towards the end it got a little bit chaotic with the story and didn't land as well as the first game did for me. This one is sitting at a surprising 66.77%, which is higher than the first game, surprisingly. Fallout 4, I started it when I was moving house and didn't have internet. It was just a game that I thought would be fun to play whilst I didn't have access to any internet, and it was. But then when I got the internet back, I moved on to something else and kind of forgot about it until the TV series come out, and it kind of motivated me to go back and finish the platinum off. Haven't done the DLC, even though I do own them all. One day I do want to go and do them, but again, when I got the platinum, I was a bit burnt out and just needed a break. Hades, had such an amazing time with this game. Says it took a year and 5 months because originally when I played it, I didn't get it, but gave it another chance a year later and just fell in love. I do like some of the roguelike games, but I'm a bit picky with them. But once this one kind of clicked for me, it was just fantastic. The characters, the story, getting to the bottom of every character's story because there's so many different storylines going on at the same time. It was just fantastic. Next game is Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, and it's a game I didn't know existed until I walked into CEX one day and saw it sitting on the shelf for a tenner, and just thought I'd give it a go. It's something I hadn't heard of or seen, and it looked fun, and that's exactly what it was. It's a really fun, hilarious game to go through with just really silly things happening. If you want a bit of a laugh and a bit of a laid-back experience, I do recommend this game. One that wasn't a laid-back experience is My Time at Portia. It's a farming game, but my god, the amount of things I had to do in this to get the platinum. It's at 8.63%, which I think is high for the things you have to do in this game. It takes 100 hours, is a bit janky, but in the end I did actually end up having a good time with it. But yeah, it's just, I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, even if you like farming games. Final Fantasy VIII, this was also the first time I'd played this game and went for the platinum straight away because I really enjoyed it. It's one of my friend's favourite ones, and he was waiting for years for me to go through and play this. Fantastic characters, fantastic story. Can't believe I didn't play it sooner, really. A game that really blew me away when I played it is Sea of Stars, which is like a classic JRPG style game. Music is fantastic. You'll hear it in a lot of my YouTube videos because I love it. The story was great. Even had me tearing up at points, and if something can make me tear up, it's a sign that it's a great story. But yeah, if you haven't looked at Sea of Stars or heard of it, check it out. It is fantastic. Dante's Inferno is my first PS3 platinum. Dante's Inferno is a game I loved. As I said before, I love the Devil May Cry, original God of War style games, and when this come out, I just fell in love straight away. The story of it was unique. Probably helped that I was a teenager and it had boobs in it, but it's an enjoyable experience. It's not hard at all. It says 2 out of 10, 16 hours, which for a PS3 game, is quite low, and it being at 80% kind of showcases that. The next game is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I remember seeing this come out and being interested in it. It being like a platformer like the original Prince of Persia's and like a Metroidvania was interesting. And then seeing the gameplay of it, it just looked great with the boss battles and stuff. And going through it, as you can see, 2 days, just under 3 days. And that's because I just loved it. I couldn't put it down once I started playing it. It says it should take 25 hours, so it makes sense that I did it within that time. I didn't have a lot of difficulty with it. There were some challenging bosses. Just a really fun game to go through. Timesia, this is one I can hold over on BombChop because it's one that he gave up on. I did manage to get it. I can see why he gave up on it, because that trophy for killing the tutorial boss, or getting the tutorial boss to his second phase, is ridiculous. With no new game plus or anything, you're kind of just left with nothing, so you have to memorize his move set perfectly, essentially. Did take me like 20 attempts, and the worst thing about it is you have to use cloud saves if you don't have to run through the tutorial every time. So doing that was just a whole annoyance in itself, in downloading and re-uploading. It's just a nightmare. I had a great time with Timesia. As a Souls-like, it is one of the better ones I've played. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, I remember playing this way back in the day and loving it, and it was great to come back and play it again. Ran smoothly on the PS4, took me 17 hours to do, but I just had a great time playing through this. Some of the races were quite hard, but once you get used to the kind of janky mechanics, it's fine. Next is Cat Quest 1 and 2, which I did back to back because I bought the collection, which has the 2 games on one disc, and they were just a really nice surprise. Indie games, but just very nice, easy platinums to go through. As you can see, this one takes 12. For some reason, this isn't on here, but I think it's about the same. But they have humour to them. The side quests aren't hard. The story's not really anything to scream about, but they're just nice games to play through and switch your brain off for a bit. So the next game, we're back in the 2 Point series, and this is the first one, 2 Point Hospital. Took me 4 years and 7 months because, my god, the grind was ridiculous. Even as someone who loves park builders, this was just crazy for some of the things you had to do to get 3 stars on some of the levels. 4.44%. I did some of the DLC trophies, but again, by the time I got to the end, I was just done and wanted to stop playing immediately. Next one is a bit of an unusual one, and that is a Sonic game. Whilst I do enjoy the Sonic games, I wouldn't really call myself a fan. I liked Sonic Heroes back in the day and Sonic Adventure Battle 2, but other than that, I hadn't really played many of the Sonic games. I had a great time with Sonic Forces, surprisingly. Some of it was a bit grindy with the red coins and the moon coins or the silver coins, but overall, I had a great time with it. Some of the speed challenges were quite hard as well, but again, giving it a few attempts and eventually managed to get it. This is sitting at 3.4%, which I do find surprising because it wasn't that hard, and for someone who's a bit of a novice to the Sonic series to find it not that hard, I thought it would have been a bit higher up. So my second PS3 Platinum Trophy is for Lego The Lord of the Rings. I do like the Lego games, but I have to play them far apart because once you've done one, you need a break from these because they are all very similar. Yes, they tell different stories of different franchises, but the core gameplay of the Lego games is exactly the same. Great retelling of the Lord of the Rings movies, but yeah, it's another one that I was glad was done when I managed to get to the end of it. Dave the Diver is a game I was keeping an eye on for a while and eventually took the plunge and got it. Managed to complete it 2 days before Christmas, and I had a great time with this game. Again, this is the kind of game that's up my alley. The whole going and collecting stuff and then selling it or making sushi out of it or whatever. And I do recommend everyone going and giving it a go, giving support to the developers for this game because it is fantastic. And considering it's indie, the amount of things that they've included in that game is ridiculous. Vampire Survivors is a game that most people know of. I originally played it on the Switch, so it was quite difficult going and playing it again on the PS5, but it didn't take too long for me to get the platinum for this. Sitting just under 50%. I haven't bought the DLC for it, but I guess if it goes on sale, I might do that at some point. The only ridiculous thing about this is the amount of trophies there is. I mean, I've got 162 and I'm still missing 60. Dead Island 2 is a game I had in my backlog for ages and eventually got around to playing. Obviously played the first game back in the day and loved that. Going and playing Dead Island 2, it felt like a worthy successor in my opinion. I had a great time with it. The story was great. The gameplay was decent. The gunplay was decent. Just a really fun experience. Did start to drag a little bit towards the end, but overall the platinum wasn't too hard at all. Medieval Remake. This is the first time I'd ever played Medieval and had a great time. Again, started to drag a little bit towards the end with all the collectibles and all the things you had to get for the platinum. But overall, you know, it's a 2 out of 10. The bosses weren't hard. It was literally just the collectibles that made it drag a little bit. The Order 1886 is another game that I had on my backlog for years and years. I do have the big edition that you get with the necklace. Always wanted to play it, never got around to it, and then at the beginning of this year I finally got around to playing it, and if anything it disappointed me because I know we ain't going to get a continuation of that story. Where they left the story was teeing up something that could have been fantastic, but unfortunately it didn't sell well back in the day, and it was a very short experience, you know, taking all of 10 hours to platinum. And again, it comes down to keeping an eye on collectibles as you're going through, but they're not hard to notice at all if you're paying attention. Toem was the next game I played as a bit of like a palette cleanser. Just a very relaxing photo based game, so you play as a character who goes around and takes photos, and a lot of the puzzles and stuff you have to do revolve around taking photos of things. I loved playing through this. I even did the DLC. Really recommend checking it out if you want a bit of a nice laid back relaxing kind of game to play through. Next game is one you would have seen in one of my earlier pickups videos, and that is Gear Shifters. I got it because of a recommendation from Access Area 6 and just loved it. So for 2 days I played through it. It's not a hard platinum at all. It's just a case of going through and upgrading your car and stuff, doing all the levels. Yeah, I had a great time with it. It's kind of like a side scroller shoot 'em up, but with a car instead of a spaceship. But check it out if you haven't seen it and you love shoot 'em ups. Really, really good. So the next platinum is Sleeping Dogs, the definitive edition, and it's one that I'd wanted to play through again at some point because I loved it back in the day. Again, it wasn't that long ago that I picked this up from Vinted. I think I have that in one of my pickups videos as well. Loved playing through it. Open world sandbox based in Hong Kong. Just a really fun game. It's kind of like a spiritual successor to the True Crime games from back on the PS2. I believe it was the same developer who worked on it, but unfortunately Sleeping Dogs didn't perform well enough, and I think that company got shuttered. And leading to my most recent platinum, which on the date of recording was only a day or two ago, that is Monster Hunter Wilds, and what an amazing game. The difference in the grind, obviously this one takes 120 hours, Worlds took 300, and that's because they gave you the ability to see crowns with the binoculars now, and that halved the amount of time it took to grind, if not, you know, more. But I love the Monster Hunter games. They're always really fun to play, especially if you're playing with friends. And with this one, it made it so much easier to get crowns with the fact that you could share them. So if you found a crown, you could save that monster as an investigation and then play through it again to share it with friends. Absolutely fantastic game. If you like Monster Hunter, honestly go and check it out. With how good it looks on the PS5 and everything, it's just well worth it, and the more open world aspect of it is just really greatly done. But yeah, that is all 168 platinums that I have. Obviously some of them are trash games, so I guess if you take them off, I'm probably closer to 155, but you know, that's just part of my platinum journey. I unfortunately got sucked into that trash easy platinum mindset, and then unfortunately, you know, got 13 of them or whatever it was. As you can see, I do love going through and platinuming my games, especially if it's a game that I'm really enjoying, but I don't let that stop me from not completing. As you see, I've played 349 games and only completed 121. I play games mainly for fun, but I do enjoy going for a good platinum as well. If you enjoyed this style of video, please let me know. It's not something I do all the time, but if you do like content like this, go and check out my good friend BombChop. He has similar videos to this. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you like my content and want to see more of it, subscribe. Go and check out some of my previous videos. Hopefully, I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.